You're listening to the Back Porch Talk podcast. Danny and Jason had many discussions and debates on the back porch while making pivotal investment moves with assets. That's right, with trading cards. They welcome you to the back porch and right into those discussions about current sports news with a fresh and unique twist. So come on and join us. Welcome to the Back Porch Talk podcast. I'm your co-host, Jason.
Your co-host, Danny.
And fans, we have a fun-filled show for you today. First, we'll talk a little bit about these NFL playoffs. Interesting coaching moves, but one in particular that we'll get into. The national championship game between the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Georgia Bulldogs. The return of Klay Thompson. And a little HBCU talk, and we have an intriguing trading card scenario. But first, Danny, the NFL playoffs is here. For the first time in NFL history, there were 17 games played in the regular season, and we have an interesting playoff situation upon us right now, and where the Green Bay Packers have earned the rights to a first-round bye, becoming the number one seed. And then you have Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Dallas Cowboys, Los Angeles Rams, Arizona Cardinals, San Francisco 49ers, and the Philadelphia Eagles in the tournament, along with the number one seed in the AFC conference being the Tennessee Titans with that first round bye. Then you have the Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, Cincinnati Bengals, Las Vegas Raiders, New England Patriots, and yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Danny, this is going to be very interesting, but I will have to say this. For this first weekend, the Wildcard weekend, there's a couple of matchups that I am really, really interested in watching. And that is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals and the Las Vegas Raiders in the AFC conference. I am really, really interested in seeing how that particular matchup shakes out. And that's going to be in Cincinnati. And I have to give kudos to the Las Vegas Raiders for the season that they went through with the firing of John Gruden, how that all shook out. And ultimately, the Las Vegas Raiders making the playoffs, man. This was a struggle for them. They grinded it out. The last weekend, they went ahead and secured a victory against the Los Angeles Chargers. And that was a very, very interesting game. And then I would say on the NFC side, the game that there's actually two games I'm intrigued by. One being the Los Angeles Rams against the Arizona Cardinals. And fans, yes, I did call it at the very beginning of the season. I had a feeling that the NFC West, let's take it back, have three teams in the playoffs, and I was right. The 49ers against the Cowboys. I'm really intrigued by that matchup. What say you, Danny?
First, Jason, before I get into this playoff talk, I got to give a shout out to my Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, here we go, man.
I have a shirt on right now.
Here we go.
We were rising up for a minute now.
Yeah, I got knocked down.
We're at BW3s waiting for these teams to show up with us, watch these playoffs. So tough year for us. Next year, I think it's going to be about the same since they're strapped with Matt Ryan's contract and who knows with Calvin Ridley. So we're looking forward to the draft and the number 8 pick. So I just had to shout out my Falcons before getting to this playoff talk because it's making me sad. But going to the AFC, I agree, man. I think that Bengals-Raiders game should be interesting. I'm very curious on how this one will play out. They did face each other earlier in the season, and the Bengals are on fire right now. I know they sat everybody that last game, against Cleveland, but they're on a roll. So if Burrow's throwing up 400 yards and Chase is putting up 200,
come on, man.
The Raiders are in trouble, but you never know. It's the playoffs, man. They're here for a reason. The Chargers, on the other hand, I just want to call them out. I watched that game. You briefly hit on it. The Chargers, I know they're kicking themselves right now. If anyone watched that game, they called the timeout in overtime, and the scenario was if they tied with the Las Vegas Raiders, they would have made the playoffs and not the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
So the coach made the comment that he had to make a decent defensive adjustment. The Raiders coach was like, I was just going to play it out because I just want to make the playoffs. Quoting or paraphrasing. But yeah, that game's going to be interesting, man, that Bengals-Raiders game. I think the Bills-Patriots, you just don't know. The Patriots kind of are limping into the playoffs, and the Bills are actually trending up. So if Mac Jones' first game in the playoffs and Josh Allen has that experience, I think the Bills take care of the Patriots. And Chiefs Steelers, you just don't know, man. I think the Chiefs can take that one, but the Steelers are playing with house money right now. So if someone gets on a roll, we'll see. I do want to call out, though, the Ravens as well. And when I talked about that a couple weeks ago, they didn't win a game ever since I said they had a tough schedule when they tripped up, and they were in the first number 1 seed. Now look who was there, the Tennessee Titans. So everything's going through Nashville. Shout out to my Tennessee Titan fans. And they get King Henry back, which is going to be, I think, a difference maker in these games. So it'll be matchup driven, but it'll be interesting. On to the NFC. Rams, Cardinals. Both of these teams, this is a toss-up, man. They're both playing inconsistent right now. They've shown flashes. I've said before, Matt Stafford I don't know about him and how he's going to play in these playoffs, but they're right. They're putting a lot on him, and he has to perform, man. He can't be throwing these interceptions like he's been throwing lately. He's been just up and down. But they do have Cooper Kupp this year, which they didn't have last year. Cowboys, 49ers. 49ers are hot, man, coming into the playoffs. Cowboys, Dak had a good game this last game against the Eagles, so that should be, I think, the game of the weekend, actually, in my opinion. And that Bucs-Eagles game, that one may be sneaky, man, because the Bucs, they're hurt. They had the whole Antonio Brown thing. They're limping into the playoffs as well. And the Eagles, another team is playing with house money, man. They don't have anything to lose, and the Bucs have been struggling, man. They're losing to the Jets during that Antonio Brown thing, and they're losing to the Panthers in that last game. So I'm assuming they're going to win, but we will see. So I'm excited, man, with all these games, and they're spanning across 3 days. So it's Saturday, doubleheader, Sunday, and then Monday.
And Danny, while we're on the heels of the end of the regular season, just like always, the Monday following the regular season is where coaches get fired.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one firing in particular that, man, was just a total surprise in my opinion, and that's the firing of Coach Flores down in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Did not see that coming, man. Especially when you talk about how the season ended up for the Miami Dolphins. We're talking about out of the last 9 games played, 8 wins. Those wins came against the Texans, the Ravens, the Jets, the Panthers, Giants, Jets again, and the Saints. They lost to the Titans, and then at the end of the regular season, they went ahead and beat the New England Patriots. And yes, the season didn't start good for them, where they were actually like 1-7, and very good for them. And so, man, this firing was a surprise. I think they were on the verge of turning this franchise around, man. For so long, the Miami Dolphins just were so desolate. And I mean, they were like, Miami, what football team is down in Miami? And Flores came down there and started to turn things around. Now, there are some alleged rumors about how either he was treating the staff or potentially who he would fire in this offseason, and the ones that he wanted to fire, the Dolphins organization actually wanted to keep. So there may have been some confrontation from that standpoint, from an administrative standpoint, allegedly, but nonetheless, Flores is no longer the coach of the Miami Dolphins, but he is getting looks from other teams and other organizations. And so I don't think he's going to be without a job, head coaching job here for long, quite honestly, Danny. Mm-hmm. There's another thing to this, though, Danny. I'm just going to keep it real, man. There's not that many black coaches in the NFL. And for this firing to be such a surprise, in the fashion that it is, it just kind of really makes you wonder what in the hell's going on, man. Mm-hmm. Quite honestly, I mean, the NFL is a show me league. It's about wins and losses, mm-hmm. and yes, to a degree, the relationships. This head coach actually, like I mentioned before, won 8 of the last 9 games, irregardless of who he played. You can only play what's on your schedule and who's on your schedule. And so the last 9 games, he has 8 wins, man. Turn things around for the better from Miami Dolphins. You have to think about, too, during this course of the beginning of the season, I mean, his quarterback was hurt. Mm-hmm. So it may do with what he was given, but nonetheless, man, he turned this thing around. And I think they would have been even better next year with another season under the belt. And I don't think there were really any controversy in the locker room. I think the players actually played for him, man. Mm-hmm. I think they played for him. And so I don't think he lost the locker room. I think he was on the verge of, even elevating next year. So a surprise firing by the Miami Dolphins of Coach Flores here. And, man, I don't think he's going to be without a head coaching job for long. What say you, Danny?
Jason, I agree, man. I think there was a report as well that there was some dissension with the quarterback selection when Tua was picked, where Flores wanted Herbert and not Tua.
Well,
yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, so it sounds like there was some rift going on since then. And you look at Miami's roster too, right? There wasn't an all-pro. The team they had Waddle this year, who had a great season, his mm-hmm. rookie season. The defense turned it around this year, where in his first 2 years, they were pretty good, and they started slow this year. But, yeah, it was a big surprise to me. Mm-hmm. And like you said, they could have quit on him when they were down and out. And they were cycling through quarterbacks and dealing with what they were dealing with. But they didn't, and they finished the season strong, almost made the playoffs.
Right, exactly.
So I see him definitely landing a job soon, because there are a lot of openings based on what happened over the last couple of days. But, yeah, definitely a surprise. And I just don't get this one. So if there's more to the story that comes out, I guess we'll see, and we'll definitely call that out. But as of at face value, it just doesn't seem right.
And now, Danny, to the national championship game between the Alabama Crimson Tide and Georgia Bulldogs. Look, man, I actually thought Alabama was going to win this game. I thought it was going to be close, mm-hmm. Quite frankly, a lot closer than the SEC championship game. I was wrong, man. Congratulations to the Georgia Bulldogs and to the alumni and to the faithful fans of the Georgia Bulldogs and Georgia University. Listen, UGA. Listen, man, this game was, especially in the first half, was a battle of the trenches. Mm-hmm. The injury to Jamison Williams, who tore his ACL, that really changed the game, especially for Alabama Crimson Tide in the second half. They started to really pass it to the running back Robinson out of the backfield to get some form of passing yardage, some diversity, if you will, into their offense. I really would have loved to have seen what the game would have been like if Williams would have stayed in as the wide receiver, number one wide receiver for that game. Speedy recovery to Jameson Williams, torn ACL. He was really projected to go very high, actually, in the NFL draft. I think, according to a couple of big boards, possibly to your Atlanta Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, that would have been something else to really see, and still can be. There are reports that it should be a full recovery, and he should get his speed and health back fully. So that's the main thing. Mm-hmm. But Danny, I would say this, man. This game, man, there's so many NFL prospects in this game on both sides of the football for both teams. And this was a great game. It's been 41 years since the Georgia Bulldogs won a national championship. So again, congratulations to them. What say you?
Jay, we had talked about this in our pre-meeting, and I told you I was in Indianapolis this past weekend, and I saw the Georgia Bulldogs team buses going down I-65, for those of you familiar with Indiana and Indianapolis. And I told you that was my sign to pick the Georgia Bulldogs. And at first, I was watching that game. I'm like, oh, man, this doesn't look good. And until the fourth quarter, honestly, Alabama had them on lock.
Mm-hmm.
There was a big run. I think it was a 67-yard run where then they went in and scored their first touchdown. And that kind of turned things around for them. And then, because they were losing actually in the fourth quarter. So then they scored a couple touchdowns, and then they had that pick six at the end to seal the game, to make it 33-18. But congratulations to the Georgia Bulldogs.
And now, Danny, the return of Klay Thompson, something special, where the Warriors faced off against the Cleveland Cavaliers, a good Cleveland Cavaliers team. And, man, what an exciting time in the arena for the day for Klay Thompson, and where he actually started, played 20 minutes, put up a whole lot of shots in those 20 minutes, man. He put up 18 shots in those 20 minutes, scored 17 points and everything, 3 for 8 from the three-point line. But, man, Klay Thompson, yes, he has to get his win back. Mm-hmm. There were several times I saw that he was just hunched over like, hey, coach, take me out, man, winded. And this is going to be dangerous for the NBA, because you have Klay Thompson, who's back, getting his wind, and then you're going to have Wiseman coming back eventually. The fact that Klay Thompson is in before the All-Star break speaks volumes. He's going to have his win and everything back, I believe, by the All-Star break. So after All-Star break, oh boy, watch out. Then you're going to have Wiseman to come back. That's going to be something else. And the good thing about this, Danny, is the fact that, yes, Klay came back in on a Sunday and played, but he also played on Tuesday against the Memphis Grizzlies, and that was an awesome game last night, man. Oh, my gosh, that was an awesome game. And Klay went ahead and did his thing, too. Not the greatest shooting night. Memphis, man, we have to talk about Memphis eventually, Danny. Memphis is really, really coming up, man, and they are hungry.
John Morant is playing out of his mind right now.
Oh my gosh, man. I think he has to be put in that MVP conversation. I really do, man. Memphis right now is on a 10-game winning streak, but back to Klay. Klay, man, he played in back-to-back games. And he actually played another 20 minutes, and he went ahead and had 14 points on 5 for 13 for shooting. And so he's trying to get his rhythm. One thing that I've seen from Klay has been the fact that he's going a little bit more to the mid-range game. I think that's something that he's worked on a little bit more in his rehab. And so this is going to be really an interesting dynamic to see Klay in the mid-range game, along with his 3-point prowess. So, man, this is going to be really interesting to see how this really shakes out. The other thing that I've seen in Klay defensively is that he's not all the way there yet.
Mm-hmm.
He's not moving his feet as much, and rightfully so, because he hasn't played in 900 some odd days.
Yep.
So he's going to eventually get there. And when he does, man, Golden State's going to be tough. What say you, Danny?
Yeah, Jay, man, it was exciting. I called it Klay Day on that Sunday, man, just to see him back on the court and how hyped everyone was for him. Splash Brothers are back in the building. And, man, he hasn't played since Game 6, 2019. And to go through that grueling ACL and Achilles injury and all the rehab and everything just to get back to the court is an accomplishment in itself. And he's one of the players I like to watch, man, because he plays on both sides of the ball. And this is actually, I think, a blessing in disguise for him because he doesn't have to play a whole season.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets that, he'll get that all-star break, little break there. And they're easing him in, playing him around 20 minutes. So by the time playoffs come around, he should be good to go. Mm-hmm. So whereas like Steph and some of the other guys may be a little worn down, he should be trending up and picking up. So, and then you mentioned Wiseman as well. I'm curious how he comes back and how he fits in, as we talked about in the past with Klay too, when he was going to come back and how they incorporated him back into the offense. But yeah, that mid-range game and yeah, just seeing him out there, man, was good. And when he had the dunk, like you mentioned, everybody got hyped. I was just happy to see him out there. So they play the Bucks tomorrow night. So we'll get to see them play the Bucks.
The struggling Bucks.
Yeah. We'll get to see them firsthand and see how that goes, man. So I'm excited to see that game tomorrow night.
And Danny, too, some HBCU football talk. Listen, man, fans, you all know we've been obviously high on HBCU football for quite some time. And the shockwave, the switch heard around the world, where Travis Hunter actually switched from Florida State and went on to go to Jackson State. Well, there's been another switch here, another shock, in where 4-star receiver Kevin Coleman is going to Jackson State University. And I saw this live, Danny. I was watching the high school Under Armour game here, and oh boy, he went ahead and made the announcement. When I saw that J hat, I was like, man, he's going to pick Jackson State. And lo and behold, he did. And one of his comments, and this is a quote, "I'm taking my talents to play with prime time. He inspired me. Why not be taught by the best? He played both ways, and he did everything that I want to do." He made this decision without, to my understanding, he made this decision without even going to an official visit. That speaks volumes, man. And so you have this 4-star receiver going up against this 5-star cornerback in Travis Hunter. Man, those practices are going to be something else. But the fact he's going to be taught by, like you said, the best and everything, man, this is what we've been talking about, man. This trend is going. And there's been some other recruits that have gone from the transfer portal to HBCU programs. So it's just not Jackson State. Oh, no. It's like so Florida A&M University. It's like so Grambling, Alabama A&M, Mississippi Valley State. I mean, there's been a whole lot of HBCUs getting a lot of great quality student athletes coming to their universities, man. And so we knew this was going to happen, Danny.
Mm-hmm.
We knew this was going to happen, and it's going to continue to happen. And I'm so happy to see this, not only for Jackson State and Florida A&M University and others, but really just for the HBCU community as a whole, man. This is just something wonderful. What say you?
Yeah, Jay, I actually saw this come through on my phone. And I looked and I was like, well, there we go. Coach Prime at it again.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just on the heels of the 5-star cornerback. So it's a trend, man. And it's important that Coach Prime establishes this, and makes it where it's commonplace. It's not like, oh, look at it's a surprise, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's common.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have the hats up there, it's not, the usual 3-4 schools they have up there. Is actually incorporating some HBCUs. So I was excited for him, man. And like you said, he said he mentioned that he didn't have to take a visit. He was going. That speaks to Coach Prime and his impact. And we'll see who else will be following suit, man, because it's not just going to be football. It's going to be basketball as well. I think we had Maker, who eventually transferred out, but you're going to see that come too. So it's just all in all a good thing. And congratulations to Kevin Coleman, man, on the decision.
And now then we have a very intriguing trading card scenario. Who we got?
So Jason, our trading card scenario tonight is Joe Burrow's 2020 Panini Prizm Rookie Card for Justin Herbert's 2020 Panini Prizm Rookie Card. A couple quick bios. Joe Burrow was the first pick out of LSU by the Cincinnati Bengals in 2020. Heisman Trophy winner, won a national championship, set a lot of records. Currently in his professional career, 7,299 yards, 47 touchdowns, and 19 interceptions. And he did tear his ACL last year. Justin Herbert, 6th pick out of Oregon by the Los Angeles Chargers in 2020. 9,350 yards, 69 touchdowns, and 25 interceptions in his pro career. 1 Pro Bowl and Offensive Rookie of the Year. So, Jason, who do you want in your portfolio?
Danny, this is a tough one, man. I'm still going back and forth in my head. This one has been tough, man, because like you said, Justin Herbert being the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Joe Burrow, though, did tear his ACL last year, but man, he has come back this year and have thrown 34 touchdowns against 14 interceptions, 4,611 yards this year, man. That is something awesome. Joe Burrow has a great system around him, man. Let's just be real. I mean, he has his college teammate as a receiver. I mean, come on, man. I mean, with Jamar Chase, I mean, this has just been something intriguing to watch the Cincinnati Bengals, quite frankly. And that's why I say I'm really interested in watching this wildcard weekend with the Cincinnati Bengals against the Las Vegas Raiders. Having said that, the fans know where I'm going with this. Man, you mean tell me this is the same Joe Burrow that won a national championship last year? This is the same Joe Burrow that threw 60 touchdowns, 6-0, against 6 interceptions in that championship LSU run. That's a ratio of 10 touchdowns to 1, man. Are you kidding me? And not only that, man, he threw for 5,671 yards.
Yeah.
As a student athlete, I think at the time the most all time. It's the same Joe Burrow that tore his ACL his rookie year and came back and has done a wonderful job and led the Cincinnati Bengals to the playoffs. We can't say that about Justin Herbert, but oh boy, Justin Herbert is no slouch, man. This is the same Justin Herbert who has thrown the likes of 38 touchdowns against 15 picks this year, man. 5,014 yards this year. As I've talked about Joe Burrow's college career, I mean, Justin's college career has been something else too, man. Out in Oregon, he went ahead and had the likes of 32 touchdowns against 6 interceptions. It's not 60, but that's a good ratio too.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a tough one, Danny, because I really believe if Justin Herbert had the same system or similar system and the pass catchers like Joe Burrow, I believe that Justin would have those same or if not better numbers. But it says something to have won a title. It says something to be a champion.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, man, I'm gonna have to go with Joe Burrow because I believe Justin Herbert's going to get all these accolades by him being with the Los Angeles Chargers. I believe Justin's going to get a lot of accolades, but he's going to come short on getting to the playoffs, getting wins in the playoffs, and ultimately getting the right pieces around him.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the LA Chargers are going to short him on those things. Whereas the Cincinnati Bengals, ironically enough, yes, the Bungles, I think Cincinnati has already put the pieces around Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have to go with Joe Burrow, man. What say you?
Yeah, Jay, this is a tough one, man. I'm a Herbert fan.
Yeah, I am too. Yep.
And Burrows, man, you can't deny what he's done this year. That's just been insane. And so looking at these two, from if I was picking the player, I think Justin Herbert's my guy because Herbert's dynamic. He can run and he has a crazy arm to go with his running. So watching him and seeing him perform, he's a great quarterback he's a quarterback on the come up for sure. And when I look at Burrow's a pocket passer. He will run if he needs to, but Burrow has those weapons, man. And when I'm looking at the value of that card and the way Jamar Chase came in this year and lit the NFL on fire.
Come on, man.
And don't forget, he has T. Higgins, who's no slouch. Tyler Boyd, who's no slouch, slot receiver. Joe Mixon, who actually had a great year and was healthy. So it all came together for the Bengals this year. The Chargers were knocking on the door, but I always look at the Chargers, man, and I say they're the Falcons of the AFC. They're like right there, but they can't get over the hump.
Don't put that. No, don't put that on. Don't put that on
man,
the Chargers.
Hold on. How many games did the Chargers blow this year?
Hey, man.
In the fourth quarter, they look just like us.
No, man.
Hold on.
No,
real talk.
I can't let you put that on the Chargers, man. I can't let
Jason,
you put that on
need to
the
do
Chargers.
Some research on this one. Go back and check all the
Yeah.
games they blew in the fourth quarter, all the blown leads. They would have been in the playoffs this year if we wouldn't have blew those leads.
The only reason I'm saying that.
So I'm sympathetic to the Chargers because I know how it is.
The only reason I was saying that is because I think you have a young quarterback, and I think you have a young team trying to find its way.
Oh, I get that part, but I'm saying how they operate as a team.
Oh, okay. I got you.
As a team. No. I'm looking at them as an organization, and they can't close games. And that's the same problem we have. We can't close games. We did win a few close ones this year, finally. But it's like this stigma with the Chargers and the Falcons.
Well, let me ask you this.
That being said, I'm going to take Joe Burrow's rookie card at this time because, like I said, man, sky's the limit for him and that team. They made the playoffs. They're trending right now, so the value is going to be there. Justin Herbert's a great player, and maybe next year they get over the hump and he gets to start battling Joe Burrow, because I was hoping they would both make the playoffs so they could both possibly face each other in the playoffs.
Same here.
I'm going to go Joe Burrow's rookie card in this scenario.
Yeah, here's the other reason why too, Danny.
I'm
picking Joe Burrow. The AFC North, I think the Bengals could put a stranglehold on that division for at least a few years to come. Yep. Baltimore is going to be Baltimore. I just think Baltimore is going to have to change, have consistent run, if you will. or be consistently competitive in that division. Cleveland, no. As long as they have Baker Mayfield, I'm not really confident in what they have there. And then you have who else is in the AFC North? Then you have the Steelers. Big Ben is about to retire. They got a lot of work to do from that standpoint. The Bengals can really consistently be the leaders of that division, and with that comes the likes of great numbers by Joe Burrow. And so I think we made the right choice this go around in getting Joe Burrow. Thank you for joining us at Back Porch Talk Podcast. You can also join us on Twitter by tweeting us at @back_podcast. For more information, you can go to our website, which is backporchtalkpodcast.com. You can also email us at backporchtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and remember that there's enough hate in the world, so go ahead and spread a little love.